Right, just get in there. All right, everyone. Welcome to WhlPatscast, the unofficial Regina Pats podcast. I'm Matt.
I'm Chris.
We are a proud member of the Saskatchewan Podcast Network, and this is our episode for January 12th, 2019. All right, everyone. Welcome to WhlPatscast, the unofficial
where's that coming from?
Regina Pats podcast. I'm Matt. I'm Chris. We are a proud member of the Saskatchewan Podcast Network. Where is that coming from? This is our episode for January 12th. Right there. All right, let's try that again for the... Oh my god, the battery. How does that happen? I need a fucking battery.
Go back to your buffer. What did you say?
Yes, we had technical difficulty, everyone. Welcome to WhlPatscast, the unofficial Regina Pats podcast. We are a proud member of the Saskatchewan Podcast Network. I'm Matt.
I'm Chris.
And this is our episode for January 12th, 2020. Okay, thanks, Pats fans, for listening or watching in our live stream. You get the live uncut fun when you you watch live on Twitter, YouTube, or Facebook. So we've got, three games to talk about this week. Kind of forgot about that one that happened last on the Wednesday. That one's kind of come and gone, but we'll talk about that. Also talk a little bit about what the team looks like now. Obviously a busy week overshadowing some of the games that went on, but we will talk about those games and the team. And we're going to have that second part of that interview we did with Josh Kreitzer last week. So last week we just played, obviously, the games that were relevant to this week, but we have the second half of that we will play afterwards. That'll actually come out on the podcast.
Podcast only? We're not doing that one live tonight?
No. We were watching the game and we just went right into this recording, so I don't have that queued up, but we'll get that on there for the podcast. Anyway, so the three games we want to talk about, starting with PG.
We kind of forgot to preview that one. We kind of got into that big long interview and kind of forgot about the PG game, but
and then it kind of almost got lost a little bit this week too with all the other news going on, but it actually turned out to be not a bad game. Team showed some resilience, being down 2-0 pretty early on.
Yeah, they came back a couple times.
Yeah.
So it was
5-4 shootout win. And that was kind of following PG a little bit on this road trip they're on. So they took us to a shootout, which, I mean, no major news there, but
no, that's kind of two comparable teams.
Yeah, and then they followed up in Prince Albert, took them to overtime.
Yeah, 2-1, I think. PA.
Yeah, that was Paddock's first game.
Yeah, so PG saw Paddock back-to-back games, so they're obviously not too big of a fan of him. They lost both.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting to be for him to be able to do that. And then they beat Saskatoon, so they're actually having a bit of success here, where they got 4 out of a possible 6 points.
Yeah, that's not bad to the first half of the road trip, right?
Yeah,
4
absolutely.
points. Yeah,
but overall, I mean, it was a fairly decent game. I don't know, anything you want to say about it?
I totally forgot. I left my notes at home.
Okay.
They're on my game note sheet, and I totally forgot about it. But yeah, it was just nice that they came back. I thought, it seemed like the third period seemed to be better. Like they had a bad start again.
Yeah.
But the overtime was pretty dreadful, and then the shootout, I mean, it's skills competition, but whatever. But I mean, we had a couple nice goals.
How about Dubinsky's?
Dubinsky's was real nice.
Yeah.
Smith had a nice little through the 5-hole. and stuff like that. So we've done okay in the shootouts.
Yes, yeah.
And they put out some new guys this time. Smith, he's been doing all right. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think I would have picked him for the shootout, but it was nice to
Why
see him
not?
get a chance, and he scored. So it was a great decision there.
Mm-hmm. And in that game, Denemy and Nyhoff both had 2 goals.
Right. Yeah.
We were on hat trick
Watch
trick
again.
watch. Yeah, I haven't had that for a while.
Yeah.
If anyone recalls, I used to bring a hat during our Memorial Cup year. I used to bring a hat, an old hat, just in the case to throw it on, and if we got one. And I don't think I brought it at all last year. Maybe when Jake and Nick were still here, maybe I did.
Yeah, but after that happened, it was
no,
like,
I didn't bring it, and I hadn't brought it at all this year. And then I did bring it that game because I thought, well, if there's any chance we're going to get a hat trick, this might be it against.
PG.
But we were talking a little bit during that game because it was Tuesday or Wednesday.
Wednesday.
It was a Wednesday. Just those midweek games are just ugly.
Yeah.
Pats do not
A little rough.
play well in those. But
and I talked to Nyhoff post game.
Okay.
And I totally didn't. And I guess I could play the whole thing. It was pretty decent because I talked to him about the game, not scoring for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and about the trade deadline, and then kind of into the trip. So I kind of no, I didn't.
Matt comments, nice to see some different shooters. I think you're right.
Yeah.
It seemed like we were always doing Pratt, Cole.
Holmes, Pratt,
Yeah,
Cole.
like it was the same guys, and
Yeah.
it was nice. And after watching Dubinsky's
Nice move.
yeah, why not give him some more opportunities?
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. Like, we know he has skill. Sure, he hasn't scored a lot of goals, but he's a smaller guy, younger guy. You can see the skills there. So when it's a shootout, like there's nothing going against him. He doesn't have to battle against these 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
These bigger guys. His skill can shine in this kind of moment.
He seems like the kind of guy that would be practicing that stuff and want to show it off.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You just get that vibe from him.
Kind of like a Jesse Gabriel vibe.
A little
right?
bit. I was gonna just as I was saying, I thought he kind of has a Jesse Gabriel vibe to him. Maybe not quite as shit disturber, but yeah.
I'm here. Let me see if I can pull up that Nyhoff. If we want to listen to that Nyhoff interview.
Yeah. While you're doing that, just regardless, the game displayed grit. And another thing I did want to mention was there's that awesome interview that WHL Unfiltered did with Brent Parker. And he was talking about how the teams are a little bit on edge coming that week, especially. And he said one of the things that stuck out in that interview is your team will be better after the trade deadline, even if you don't make a move, just because guys are everyone's a little on edge and anxious, and
you can just relax.
Yeah. So this was one of those last games before, like right in the middle of it. Really, things were just starting to heat up the day after that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would have been easy for them to shut it down after 2-0. PG was looking good too, man. They had some nice goals, but yeah, it was a good game. It was fun.
Yeah, and going back to the Memorial Cup year, we saw that how well the team did after the trade deadline. Like, sure, we got some more talent in, and we had all these guys in, but
absolutely
everybody else, can just relax and play the game. They don't have to worry about, am I going to get traded, or I have to do good so I don't get traded, so I can stay on the Memorial Cup team, stuff like that. So, yeah,
plug into that one.
Plug that one in. All right, too many chords going on here.
Yeah.
All right, there it is. All right, this is Nyhoff after the PG game. Nice to meet you again. Yeah. Popular guy tonight. What was the message after the first period? You guys got down again, had some defensive breakdowns, but you responded pretty well in that second period.
Yeah, I think the message was just to stay calm, and we kind of talked and really talked, I guess, about how important these 2 points were. They're a team that's just behind us, and we're looking to close the gap on the other teams. So just that, and how we're getting on the road here. We got a couple of days off, and that we just need to lay everything out there tonight for these points.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough road trip, so that was kind of a key 2 points, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm, for sure.
How about your game? You got a couple goals tonight. You kind of snake bit in there on Sunday. How's it feel to finally pot a couple here?
Good. I mean, it was a little frustrating these last couple of games, but just staying positive and knowing that it's going to happen. And huge credit to Crane and Holmes for those 2 goals. They really helped me.
Yeah. going into this road trip, you know it's going to be tough. What's kind of the message to the team? Like, you kind of just got to battle through these. It's going to be tough, real tough teams in the U.S. division here.
Yeah, for sure. I think we got a lot of young guys who've never played the U.S. division, so I think we got to talk to them about just how physical it is and how every night's going to be a war. So, but overall, I think we just need to stick to our game and tighten up our defense and really bear down on the chances that we get to help us.
Yeah, I think maybe the trade deadline's kind of in a few guys' heads with the last few games here, possibly.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's a few guys who kind of are thinking about that, but at the end of the day, they got to block that out and do what they can for help us while they're here. And by the next game, trade deadline will be over, so we'll have our final team then.
Yeah, you guys can focus on the end of the season. What's kind of the outlook there once you guys get past that trade deadline and kind of finish out the season here?
We're just trying to catch as many teams as we can and try to get into a bit of a playoff rush or push at the end of the season there, try to get in there, and yeah, I think just build.
All right, cool. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
Have a good trip. Thanks.
That was good. Nice to hear you. You know, it's funny. That Rod Peterson had a kind of a junior hockey extravaganza on, what day was that? Thursday, when the trade started going down, and Jared Dumbo was on there saying they're honestly they're shooting for a playoff push, whether they make it or not. But that is on their mind right now.
Yeah, and Struch has alluded to that. He said they want to get into the playoff race, right?
Yeah.
They, I think it's not unrealistic, but with the last few losses there, after the Moose Jaw wins, it was like, okay, well, if this team stays kind of rolling, they can push possibly for a playoff spot.
Yeah.
Not maybe get in, but at least give a run. But so they're still looking to get that kind of run going. But even if they don't make it, they don't make it. But they just don't want to just languish down here in the basement
And just write off the season, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You may as well have a goal that you're working towards, even if you don't reach it. It's a lofty goal, but hey, you're looking at Red Deer. They're 1 point ahead of us. Saskatoon, we don't really even know what they're doing.
Yeah, they made a bunch of trades, so I don't know if they.
Yeah,
it's kind of like
they're going for it or not. Or
yeah, like it was almost like a lateral move. Like they moved some guys out, but they brought some guys in. So.
Yeah, maybe a little like Brandon that year, where they.
Yeah, they were in a playoff spot, but said
still moved some assets to get some for the future. Yeah, so they might. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, that's nice to hear. We haven't heard from Logan, so that was nice to hear from him, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've talked to him since about the start of the season. So, okay. Yeah, he had a good game, and he was first star, so Access was doing the game, so he got interviewed there, and then he did the radio interview, and I didn't realize that, and then I requested him, so that's why I said he's a popular guy. Yeah.
All right. So anyways, they finished that PG game, and I thought they were going to leave that night off to TC, but with the trade deadline, I think that may have affected it, just because it was such an awkward timing, right? And normally I think they would leave that night,
evening,
but it sounded like, well, there was trades going down that night.
Yeah,
Feist
1 a.m.
was traded.
I was just finishing up my game recap for Dub Network, and the Feist trade came across. So
that was after midnight.
Yeah, it was almost 1 o'clock. I was finishing that up.
Yeah. And then I was off this week. We were both watching Rod Peterson that day, and the rumor came out that Paddock didn't get on the bus that morning to go with the team. So then rumor mill started flying, and there was talk that Brent Parker, I don't know where if he tweeted it or what, or just spoke to someone saying that the deal was done with PA, and if it was a done deal as of that PG game, I was surprised he played that night.
No, it sounded like in the press conference he said 1 a.m. it was done, same time as the Feist one.
Oh, okay.
They just waited till the morning to announce it, I guess.
Okay.
Or he meant the Feist one, but he only really talked about the Paddock trade. He didn't really talk about the Feist trade in that press conference, but he said it was done about 1 a.m.
Oh, okay. I missed that part. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, regardless, the team was on the road over to Tri-Cities. Played that game last night. I didn't get to see it, but you did. I watched the highlights. For one thing I noticed, it was nice to see Mackay Mitchell back.
Yeah, and
it's been a while. He was out. You said November 27th.
Yeah. So he's been out quite a while.
Yeah. So nice to see him back with the loss of Tyson Feist. So there was a bit of a gap there. But what did you think about that game? We also got to see Buskey start taking over the leader starting goalie role.
Yeah, and I thought Buskey played well. Sure, he gave up 5 goals, but again, there's some defensive breakdowns, some 2-on-1s that we just couldn't stop in the back of the net. They had a power play goal. Like, obviously, you can see this on the highlights, but he's totally screened. He didn't see anything. And honestly, the team didn't play well in the first 40 minutes. I mean, I don't know if maybe the bus legs or whatever, but they did not play well. They came out in the third and played way better. Yeah. And if they would have played for more than 20 minutes, they could have won that game. And here coming into the road trip, I said, this is the most winnable game. We got to have this game because if we don't win this one, we might not win one all trip. And, well, we see what happened tonight.
Come out flat like that.
Yeah, to come out flat, but at least they responded in the third. I mean, at least they gave a response, kind of like the PG game. They didn't play well in the first 20, and they came out better in the second and third.
Yeah, I watched the highlights, and the goals that Buskey did let in, I don't think any of them were soft goals or anything that he would want back. There were, like you said, 2-on-1s, or on the power plays, they got 2 power play goals. We gave up 2, that is, and then a shorty. And a shorty was, we shouldn't have given that up. And
then we score on that power play.
That's but that's the winning
winner.
goal.
Yeah.
It was a shorty you gave up, and it's like,
I know.
That's tough to swallow. I don't know.
Yeah.
Really nice to see Englot got 2 goals that game. You can kind of, you want to give some credit to the Dub Network bump, apparently was a thing. So
guys have been putting articles out on players, and all of a sudden they kind of respond. Yeah. So I mean, Englot has been been hot as
on
of
a
late.
good trajectory. Chris wrote an article for Dub Network, just talking about Drew Englot, and I think
I like Struch's marks on him. He's a pro already. He works hard, and you can see that in his game. So I thought that was some good words for him.
Yeah. So anything else about that game? Or the shots 41-40? Pats actually outshot them.
Yeah, it was quite a few shots both ways.
Yeah.
And kind of back to that Englot thing, we kind of talked to him about in our trade deadline special or whatever the breaking news special that we had, that Englot and Jacob Brook are friends. If you didn't hear that episode, and so Jacob Brook, he's hurt, so he's going to be out for a while, but he may have the same work ethic as Englot does, and awesome. Paddock says that's good for us. We like Englot's game, so if he has the same game, that'd be nice.
Absolutely. And then tonight's game. So we actually got to watch this just now. Just ended a few minutes ago, really. And what a surprise! What a well played game that was.
Yeah, and there's a 60-minute game right there. We came out
full right from the start. Yeah. So Pats won 5-3 in the end. It was well played. The whole team, top to bottom, set off, stood out, 4 assists. How about and they got the double minor. They scored on both parts of that double minor.
Yeah,
that's huge.
Yeah, that
when
is.
You get those, that's what you think. Man, we can get 2 goals out of this, and they did. That was fantastic.
Yeah, and I totally glossed over that. I totally forgot about the Tri-City game. They had a 5-minute major. Walker got hit. It was kind of an awkward hit, and they called a 5-minute major on that. So they had a 5-minute major, and then TC took a penalty in that 5 minutes. So we had a full 2 minutes 5-on-3. And during the 5-on-3, the Pats I don't think they had a shot on net, and Tri-City hit the post, so they had the best chance 5-on-3.
Yeah.
So that was rough. They really struggled. That was in the second period, I believe.
Yeah.
That's still when they were really struggling in the game. But that was, I thought, after that, I was like, this game's not going anywhere. And then the third period, they came out and responded, but it was just too late.
Yeah, no, this is much better.
Definitely. And to chase Wolf, he's one of the best goalies
world
in the league.
Junior goaltender, right? So chase him out of the net, put up 5 on him. Yeah. Well, when we previewed this game with Joshua, that's what he said. I mean, we were looking at this game. They had the
top goal scorer,
top assist point getter, and the best goals against average.
Yeah.
And it was we kind of X this one.
Yeah,
that'll be a tough one. But wow, and I don't know if Everett was, maybe taking it a bit lightly, getting ahead of themselves or what. But
and then I just heard post game they're on a bit of a slide actually.
Yeah, they are.
They're 2-8 or something in the last 10. So
something like that. Since the break, they haven't been very good.
Yeah,
it sounds like.
So that's kind of a little surprising. Where is it here? Everett 4-5 in the past 10. So And then you look at compared to Portland, who's 8-0-1-1 in their past 10. So they've really taken a lead on that whole actually conference now.
All right. Well, before we go on, so
I guess leading into Portland.
Yeah, a little bit of. So this week kind of got me thinking about what I do for trivia, and I wanted to think of like the big blockbuster trade. So put in first one. I didn't know there'd be a lot of like junior hockey. So of course, the biggest blockbuster trade ever, right, is the Gretzky trade. So everyone knows about the players and stuff like that, but there's also a cash element to that. And so
I think that was key. It was more of a sell-off rather than a trade.
Yeah, the players. So the money that returned,
no idea, but it was quite a bit, wasn't it?
It was. So I'll let you know what it was after. The Saskatchewan Podcast Network is supported by Connexus. Next time you're stuck in traffic for a while, here's something to think about instead of why the car in front of you is going so slow or the car behind you is trying to hitch a ride on your bumper. What if your bank was committed to working with you to achieve your goals? What if they cared enough to get to know you? What if they weren't successful unless you were? What if your financial well-being drove everything they did? Come see why things are different at Connexus. Stop by any branch to learn more about how Connexus cares. So the cash was actually $15 million.
15?
Which at that time was a lot. Because when you look back at that era...
What was it, 1993?
There weren't many guys making $1 million a year. It was... I think I saw something recently. It was the 92 season, maybe the first year that he was in LA, or 93. I don't know, when did that trade?
I can't remember exactly.
Anyway, I saw something from like the 92-93 season, and Lemieux and him were the only ones making more than $1 million.
Yeah.
So $15 million then is a lot. That's like a year's bankroll, probably, almost.
Yeah, that probably was the salary kind of cap.
So that was a ton of money. So then I did it was like we were saying, this is a rabbit hole. When you start looking at picks that get traded and how guys end up in places, you can go down deep. So I did want to just kind of try and find a junior hockey one. So one of the more recent ones with specifically kind of like Kelowna doing this year. So they picked up Leon Draisaitl from PA. So one of the interesting things I found was Leon Draisaitl had 192 points in junior hockey, the German junior hockey. That was over 29 games.
Wow.
That's insane. It was like 8 points a game. So anyways, then he ended up in the dub. He played 128 games, scored 163 points. But the thing that I found a little bit interesting was it was only, so he came from PA. Kelowna only gave up a first, a fourth, and 2 players.
Oh, interesting.
And the players they haven't amounted to much. Like,
so
for this guy, for Leon Draisaitl, like one of the so they got a really good deal with him. I
think that was, I know Edmonton had their hands in that because I don't think they wanted him back in PA because PA was struggling that year. And they really wanted him to be playing on a good team. So I think that forced PA's hands to take whatever they could get. So maybe that
they didn't get. Yeah, it was just interesting to see they did not get a lot.
Well, yeah, you look at some of these trades in the O and the Q, and there was that one in the O. The guy got 3 firsts and 5 seconds. Just unbelievable. And then Kelowna this year, they don't want to do anything. They didn't want to. They didn't want to go all in on. They didn't even want to give up their first round pick this coming draft. I mean, this draft is deep, and I think we're going to get into that in the upcoming episode.
They barely did anything. Yeah, we just have the draft or the transactions. They
picked up 2 guys and they traded 2 guys
and moved Joseph,
and then they moved Carrier. We picked up Carrier from him.
Oh yeah.
So there was 2 trades. So obviously, I don't know, for whatever reason they couldn't get Carrier in the Feist deal. They ended up getting him in a separate deal.
Yeah.
But Kelowna did nothing, and
wow.
So, they traded that guy right there. What's his name? Jonas Petrick. Or no, they picked him up. Sorry.
Yeah, for 5th, so he must not be.
Yeah, it's.
Huh. Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Or no, they traded him because that's in the trade. So they traded away him, and they picked up a 5th.
Oh, yeah. So they're just moving players and getting picks. Yeah. They didn't really do much.
They traded another one there, Jared Newell, for a 6th. So
breaking down Regina's trades. So obviously the Max Paddock trade is kind of the most prominent, but we also moved Feist. That was a little bit earlier, but got a 4th round pick for him, so not too bad.
Yeah, I think we'll take that all day long.
Yeah. Were you were you happy with the second for Max?
Yeah, I don't think we would have got it. I don't think we could have got a first for him.
Brent Parker in that interview wasn't. He didn't. Maybe a second and a couple more. I don't know.
Maybe
but
2 seconds.
I think the player actually may prove to be a fairly significant piece. Jacob
Brook.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see what he turns out to be, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, we're not going to see much from him this year.
No.
But we'll see him next year.
And then, so Daly to Saskatoon for a 6th.
Yeah,
I mean, just really
whatever.
Yeah.
He's not going to be back next year, I wouldn't think. He's got 2 goals this year. We got a 6th round. Sure, great.
Yeah. And then we just spoke a little bit about this one. Cole Carrier from Kelowna for a 6th and a conditional 8th.
Yeah, so you basically take that 6th that you got for Daly and flip him into a 17-year-old.
So this is a 17-year-old, only 8 games in the WHL. He's playing in the AJHL right now. He's got an injury right now too. He's not going to be here right away.
Oh, okay.
But it's not like a long term. They just said he's not going to join the team on this trip, and may see him later. But I mean, some nice moves. You look at now 2020. You've got the 1st round pick from Lethbridge in that Lethbridge trade that we did. So it's actually Swift's first, right?
Yeah.
And then we have 2 seconds and 3 fourths.
2 seconds and 3 fourths.
Yeah.
Yeah, and by all accounts, I think even Brent Parker talked about it in that WHL Unfiltered interview that this draft is pretty good. He's like, I wouldn't be too concerned about a first round pick. Like he said it sounds like it's a good draft this year. And obviously the top 3 guys all applied for exceptional status, so you know that they're really, really high end, and 2 of them are out of Saskatchewan, which is kind of nice.
Mm-hmm.
So nice to see some Saskatchewan talent coming to the top, and maybe that helps them sell, or with being from Saskatchewan, maybe that helps them track them to the Pats. Yeah,
who knows? Good. Anything else you want to talk about today? Or should we just go into that?
Yeah, we'll go into the interview right away. We're looking pretty heavy in that 17-year-old age group now. Like you got 6 guys on the current roster, and Paul is signed, so a 7th forward. So we're looking pretty heavy for 17s,
which is fine. That's not a problem until they're going to be 20 next year. So
exactly. So now we're down to 4 19s this year. You got Denemy, Crane, Walker, Busky. So that's what your 20-year-olds are potentially next year.
Yeah.
And then we're pretty loaded next year for 19. So we'll have 4 forwards and 4 D-men for next year. So hopefully those guys can really help drive this team next year and get out of the basement here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And bring along these 17s and 16s. Like we're going to have maybe a little bit of a younger D core. Like we've got 4 16 signed.
Right.
But it's like we say, we have faith in Paddock. He seems to know what he's doing, and he
made some moves, nothing too crazy or anything.
Nothing unexpected, really.
Yeah, I think we all saw this stuff coming down.
Yeah.
So, so we're going to throw it to that interview, and then, we'll wrap it up after. The one thing I do want to talk about, though, is we've alluded to it here, but to find this Brent Parker interview, it's through WHL Unfiltered, and that's Dub Network's podcast, and it was one of the better interviews I've heard in a long time. So obviously Brent Parker was the GM during the 2001 era Pats, and it's just he goes into so much detail about how trades kind of play out, and building a Memorial Cup team and how that looks, and the drafts, and I don't want to ruin it, but because I want to kind of get people to listen to it for them, but he talked about the Eberle year and not trading and kind of the stories around that. So it was really, really good. I think maybe extra for Pats fans, but I think anyone who's interested in junior hockey, there's some really kind of candid behind the scenes discussion, which was awesome. And Sean Mullen did a lot of the interview, who is fantastic radio
he's
person
really
as well.
He's really added an element to that.
Yeah, you can just tell he's got radio background and that professionalism he brings, and it was an awesome interview. So everyone should go check that out.
Yeah, and Brent Parker's still involved in the WHL. He's scouting for ISS, so it's not like he's sitting on a porch somewhere just on a rocking chair.
Yeah, he's still involved. Well into it.
Yeah.
So thanks again to Josh for doing that interview a couple of weeks ago now. Sorry about your Vikings and sorry about my Seahawks tonight. But thanks Josh for that. That was really good. And
it covers these last 3 games on this road trip. And the boys aren't back till the 24th now. So still almost 2 weeks away. But so far so good actually on the road trip. Pretty happy with it. Yeah, I know. I mean, I would have taken 1 win out of those first 2 games, and I guess it's fine. And I mean, it was not the win that we thought we were going to get, but a win's a win. And that Portland game just will be it'll be a tough one. It'll be nice to see Portland. I mean, if you want to watch a game, they're the cream of the crop in the dub right now. And the funny stat about Portland, they do not have a 19-year-old forward on their roster. Forward? So they have at least forward. Okay. I don't know about D-man, but I believe Chad's tweet was they don't have a 19-year-old forward. Don't quote me on that. Okay. As a 19-year-old player, but I'm pretty sure it's just 19-year-old forward. So, because I know they had a lot of young kids last year. Yeah. And those 17s have turned into really good 18s this year. And then I don't know what they have for 20s, if they're forwards or D or what. But the 18s are driving that team right now, and they are hot, real hot. So they're going to be good next year. Yeah. Portland might be even better next year, but I wonder what happened with Hofer, because he's a 20. Oh, yeah. He's a 20 next year, but he's signed. So see what happens. You never know. Goalies are always that kind of wild card. Yeah, and they usually lag behind in a little bit development, but they might want to get him. Who knows? Yeah. But Portland could be even better next year. That's a good topic to talk with Josh again some other time. Yeah. Okay, let's wrap it up. Some good games this week. If you want to stay up and watch them. Yeah, there'll be some late ones. Yeah. All right. Okay. Good night, guys. Thanks for everyone for tuning in and watching on Twitter. I got the chat thing working. I think going forward we'll have that working, so that'll be great. Sweet. Yeah. Thanks for the comments, Matt. All right. Good night.